Welcome to our channel, a realm where incredible tales unfold and adventure awaits around every corner. Join us as we embark on a riveting journey through breathtaking landscapes and daring escapades. Brace yourself for an extraordinary story that will ignite your spirit and leave you on the edge of your seat. Get ready for an adventure of a lifetime. Cherith, Sai, Vamsi, and Chintu were four childhood friends who grew up together in a small town at the foot of the mountains. Each of them had their own unique qualities that made them stand out from the others. Cherith was the smartest of the group, with an analytical mind and a passion for science. Sai was the most confident, with a fierce determination and a strong sense of justice. Vamsi was the most laid back, with a calm and easygoing personality that put others at ease. Chintu was the strongest, with a muscular build and an unbreakable will. Despite their differences, the four of them shared a bond that went beyond words. They had grown up together, played together, and fought together. They knew each other's strengths and weaknesses, and they always had each other's backs. One day, a strange phenomenon occurred. A brilliant light illuminated the sky, casting a powerful glow over the town. The light was unlike anything the four friends had ever seen before. They watched in amazement as it descended from the sky and enveloped them in its radiant energy. As the light faded away, they realized that something incredible had happened. They had each been granted a unique power that they could use to change the world. Cherith had been blessed with the power of ice, Sai with fire, Vamsi with wind, and Chintu with earth. At first, the friends were unsure of how to use their new powers. They experimented with them, testing the limits of what they could do. Cherith was amazed at the power of ice, creating intricate sculptures with the slightest touch of his fingertips. Sai marveled at the flames that erupted from his hands, lighting up the night sky with their brilliance. Vamsi reveled in the freedom of the wind, soaring through the air with ease. And Chintu marveled at the strength of the earth, able to move mountains with a single thought. As they continued to explore their new abilities, they discovered that their powers were not just physical but also affected their emotions and mental state. Cherith found that his ice power could also calm him down when he was stressed or angry. Sai learned that his fire power could ignite his passion and determination to do good. Vamsi found that his wind power could clear his mind and allow him to focus better. And Chintu discovered that his earth power could ground him and give him stability in times of uncertainty. As they grew more confident in their abilities, the friends began to realize that they had been given a gift that they could use to change the world. They decided to become heroes, using their powers to fight against evil and protect those who could not protect themselves. With newfound purpose and determination, the four friends set out to make a difference in the world. They were ready to face any challenge that came their way, knowing that they had each other to rely on. They were the new heroes of their town, and they would stop at nothing to defend it against all threats, no matter how great. After discovering their new powers, Cherith, Sai, Vamsi, and Chintu spent several days training and testing their abilities. They worked together to improve their skills and learn how to coordinate their powers for maximum effect. One day, as they were practicing in the mountains, they heard a loud commotion coming from the town. They rushed down to investigate and found that a group of bandits had attacked the local market, stealing goods and causing chaos. The people of the town were scared and helpless, unable to defend themselves against the bandits' weapons. The four friends knew that they had to act fast. They quickly assessed the situation and decided to use their powers to take down the bandits and restore order to the town. Cherith used his ice power to freeze the ground beneath the bandits' feet, causing them to slip and fall. Sai used his fire power to create a wall of flames that prevented the bandits from escaping. Vamsi used his wind power to blow away the bandits' weapons, leaving them defenseless. And Chintu used his earth power to create a barrier around the town, protecting the innocent people inside. The bandits were caught off guard by the sudden display of power, and they were no match for the four friends. Cherith and Sai worked together to create a blizzard of ice and fire that froze and burned the bandits at the same time. Vamsi used his wind power to lift the bandits off the ground and slam them back down with tremendous force. And Chintu used his earth power to crush the bandits' weapons and render them useless. After a fierce battle, the bandits were defeated, and the town was saved. The people cheered as Charith, Sai, Vamsi, and Chintu emerged victorious. The four friends had shown the town that they were true heroes, willing to risk their lives to protect the innocent. As they stood there, basking in the adoration of the people, the four friends realized that they had a responsibility to use their powers for good. They couldn't simply sit back and watch as evil threatened the town. They had to be proactive, always ready to defend the people against any threat that came their way. With their first battle won, Charith, Sai, Vamsi, and Chintu knew that they had taken their first steps on the path to becoming true heroes. They were ready to face any challenge that came their way, knowing that they had each other to rely on. They had proven that they were more than just normal people, and they were ready to use their powers to make the world a better place. Charith, Sai, Vamsi, and Chintu continued to use their powers to protect the town and its people. They had faced many challenges and fought many battles, but they knew that their journey was far from over. One day, while on a routine patrol, they stumbled upon a mysterious forest. The forest was dark and foreboding, and they could sense a powerful and malevolent energy emanating from within. They knew that they had to investigate, but they also knew that they were risking their lives by entering the forest. As they entered the forest, they were immediately met with resistance. The trees and plants seemed to come to life, attacking them with vines and thorns. Charith used his ice power to freeze the plants and make a path, while Sai used his fire power to burn the thorns and clear the way. Vamsi used his wind power to blow away any remaining obstacles, and Chintu used his earth power to create a shield around them, protecting them from any attacks. As they pressed deeper into the forest, they encountered strange creatures and monsters, all seemingly under the control of a powerful and evil force. They fought bravely, using their powers enemies, but they soon realized that they were vastly outnumbered. The creatures seemed to keep coming, and their attacks became more coordinated and strategic. As they fought, they could feel their powers evolving and becoming stronger. Charith's ice power had become sharper and more precise, Sai's fire power had grown hotter and more intense, Vamsi's wind power had become faster and more agile, and Chintu's earth power had become denser and more impenetrable. Despite their growing strength, they were still struggling to keep up with the onslaught of creatures. They knew that they had to find the source of the evil energy and put an end to it. They pressed on, following the trail of destruction and chaos. After what seemed like hours of fighting, they finally came to a clearing in the forest. In the center of the clearing stood a dark and ominous figure, surrounded by an army of creatures. They could feel the malevolent energy radiating from the figure, and they knew that this was the source of the evil they had been sensing. Without hesitation, they charged towards the figure, using their powers to fight off the creatures and clear a path. As they got closer, they could see that the figure was wearing a black cloak and had a twisted, demonic face. They could feel its power and strength, but they also knew that they were more powerful than they had ever been before. They launched their attack, using all of their powers to strike the figure. Charith's ice power froze the figure's legs, Sai's fire power burned its cloak, Vamsi's wind power blew away the creatures, and Chintu's earth power created a barrier around them, protecting them from any counterattacks. The figure let out a terrible scream, and its power seemed to grow stronger. It summoned even more creatures to attack them, but they were undeterred. They continued to fight, using their powers to defeat the creatures and weaken the figure. Finally, with a final burst of power, they landed the killing blow. The figure let out one last scream, and its power dissipated. The creatures stopped attacking and disappeared into thin air. The dark energy that had been emanating from the forest vanished, and the forest itself seemed to come back to life. Charith, Sai, Vamsi, and Chintu stood in the clearing, panting and covered in sweat. They had just defeated a powerful and malevolent force, and they knew that their journey was far from over. They had evolved and grown stronger, but they also knew that there were more challenges and battles ahead of them. They looked at each other and nodded, silently acknowledging the bond that had formed between them. They were a team, and they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. The friends sat in their makeshift headquarters, contemplating their next move. They had just heard news of a powerful villain named Vayne, who was wreaking havoc across the world. Vayne had already defeated several groups of heroes and was growing stronger with each victory. "We have to do something," Sai said, breaking the silence. "We can't just sit here while Vayne destroys everything." "But how are we supposed to fight someone like him?" Shareth asked. "He's too powerful for us." Vamsi spoke up. "We need to find other heroes, people with powers like ours. Together, we can stand a chance against Vayne." Shinto nodded in agreement. "I'll start looking for other heroes in our area. We need to act fast." The friends split up, each taking on a different task. Shareth and Sai stayed behind to research Vayne's past, hoping to find a weakness they could exploit. Vamsi searched the internet for any news of other heroes in the area. And Shinto set out to find any potential allies. Days turned into weeks as the friends worked tirelessly to prepare for their showdown with Vayne. They finally received a lead on a group of heroes who had been fighting Vayne in a nearby city. The friends made the journey to meet with the heroes and form an alliance. Upon meeting the other heroes, the friends were relieved to see that they were just as determined to defeat Vayne. The group spent the next few days training and strategizing, each hero sharing their unique abilities and techniques. Finally, they were ready to take on Vayne. The group set out to Vayne's stronghold, determined to put an end to his evil reign. As they approached the stronghold, they encountered Vayne's army of minions. The group charged forward, using their powers to take out the minions one by one. They worked together flawlessly, each hero complementing the other's abilities. But then Vayne appeared, his power emanating from his very being. The heroes braced themselves for the battle of their lives. Vayne proved to be an extremely challenging opponent. He was able to counter each hero's attacks, deflecting their powers with ease. The heroes were pushed to their limits, each one struggling to keep up with Vayne's overwhelming strength. But they refused to give up. They worked together, constantly adapting their strategies and attacking as a team. Slowly but surely, they began to wear Vayne down. Finally, they had Vayne on the ropes. The friends combined their powers in a final attack, one that Vayne couldn't deflect. The attack hit Vayne head-on, sending him flying backwards. The group rushed over to Vayne, expecting to see him defeated. But to their surprise, he was still standing. Vayne had absorbed the group's attack, and now his power had grown to an unprecedented level. The heroes were on the verge of defeat, but then Vamsi had an idea. He suggested that they combine their powers in a way they had never tried before. The group hesitated for a moment, but then they agreed to give it a shot. The heroes joined hands, and in a burst of energy, they combined their powers into a single attack. The attack was so powerful that it obliterated Vayne and destroyed his stronghold. The friends stood together, panting and exhausted, but triumphant. They had saved the world from Vayne's evil, and they had done it together. As they made their way back to their headquarters, the group reflected on their journey. They had started as 4 normal people, but now they were heroes, each with the power to change the world. They had faced incredible challenges and had come out on. The heroes flew towards Vayne's fortress, the sound of the winds and the heat of the flames surrounding them. As they approached the towering building, they could see the army of villains waiting for them. Vayne stood at the center, his eyes glowing with an eerie red light. The heroes landed on the ground and prepared for the final battle. Shareth created a shield of ice around them while Sai unleashed a massive blast of fire, creating a clearing in the enemy lines. Vamsi used his wind powers to send several villains flying, while Chinta raised the earth beneath their feet to form a defensive barrier. The battle was intense and chaotic, with powers colliding and the ground shaking beneath their feet. The heroes fought fiercely, taking down wave after wave of enemies. They knew that Vayne was the ultimate goal, but they needed to clear the way to reach him. As the battle raged on, Vamsi noticed that the enemy's attacks were becoming more coordinated. They were being led by a powerful villain who was hiding behind the scenes, controlling them like puppets. Vamsi signaled to the others, and they decided to split up to take on the leader and the army separately. Cherith and Chintu headed towards the leader, while Sai and Vamsi took on the army. Cherith created an icy path for them, while Chintu used his earth powers to keep the enemy at bay. They found the leader, a dark figure hidden behind a cloak. Cherith froze the figure in place, and Chintu used his earth powers to shatter it into pieces. The villain's coordination faltered, giving Sai and Vamsi an opportunity to make their way to Vane's fortress. As they entered the fortress, they were met with a wave of enemies. Sai unleashed a wall of flames while Vamsi used his wind powers to push them back. They fought their way through the maze-like corridors, their powers guiding them towards Vane's location. Finally, they reached the throne room, where Vane was waiting for them. He was surrounded by a dark aura, and his eyes were shining with an ominous red light. Sai and Vamsi stood before him, ready to face their ultimate foe. Vane laughed, his voice echoing through the room. "You fools! You think you can defeat me? I am invincible." Sai stepped forward, his flames blazing. "We don't need to defeat you alone. We have each other, and together we are stronger than you can imagine." Vamsi nodded in agreement, his winds howling. "We have the power of the elements on our side. We are the protectors of this world, and we will not let you destroy it." Vane sneered, his powers flaring up. "You are nothing compared to me. I am the most powerful being in this world." The battle began, with Sai and Vamsi using all their powers to fight against Vane's darkness. Sai created walls of flames while Vamsi used his winds to deflect Vane's attacks. They dodged and weaved through the air, their powers clashing with Vane's darkness. Vane was powerful, but he was not invincible. Sai and Vamsi were able to land several hits, weakening him little by little. Finally, they saw an opening, and they combined their powers in a final attack. Sai unleashed a massive inferno, while Vamsi used his winds to guide the flames towards Vane. The attack hit Vane square in the chest, sending him crashing to the ground. The darkness around him dissipated, and Vane lay on the ground, defeated. The heroes had saved the world from. As the dust settles from the battle with Vane, Cherith, Sai, Vamsi, and Chintu realize that their work is not yet done. They decide to form a team of heroes to defend the world from future threats. They gather in the town square, and soon people from all over the world start showing up, wanting to join their team. The friends are overwhelmed by the response but quickly get to work training their new recruits. They teach them the ways of their powers and how to work together effectively as a team. The team becomes known as the Protectors, and they begin traveling the world, fighting evil wherever it arises. Over time, the Protectors grow in number, and their fame spreads. They are lauded as heroes, and people all over the world look up to them as symbols of hope and justice. The friends themselves become legends, known by their code names: Cherith, the Ice Queen; Sai, the Inferno; Vamsi, the Windwalker; and Chintu, the Earthshaker. Occasion: they defeat countless villains, both human and superhuman, and save countless lives. They become known as the greatest heroes of their time, and their legacy endures long after they are gone. Eventually, the friends grow old, and one by one, they retire from hero work. But they are always remembered as the founders of the Protectors, and their names are forever etched in the annals of history. The team continues on, with new heroes taking their place, but the original four remain revered as the greatest heroes the world has ever known. Subscribe to our channel today and become part of an adventure-loving community, where every video will leave you craving for more.